Yeah, then let's get started. Yeah, welcome. Thank you for being here. Welcome to the session Digital Twin Open Source Landscape. And today I would like to talk to you about how the SMSH shell as a standard for digital twins will enable or is enabling interoperability for digital twins. My name is Thiago Martins. I am a product manager from SAP, working at SAP. But at the same time, I'm very active at the Industrial Twin Association, which is standardizing the SMSH shell, as well at the Eclipse Foundation as a project lead for the Eclipse AS model for Java, as well a member of the PMC of the Eclipse Digital Twin top level project. So to start my talk today, I would like to remind you, so Industry 4.0, right? We all know actually already, or we have some ideas what it's about. Some people relate that to cyber-physical systems, others to IoT, others to cloud systems, machines talk to machines, connected to internet. But actually, what I want to argue today is that the main value of Industry 4.0 is actually about creating value by sharing data. So you have your value chain, and you need to exchange information with your stakeholders to generate value. And this will only happen if you are able to connect your partners, your customers, and your stakeholders so that you are able to connect dots across the boundaries of your companies. And last but not least, it's about achieving higher transparency, flexibility, be more efficient, and then also be more sustainable. And one of the technologies enabling digital Industry 4.0 is actually digital twins. So I think I don't need to bring you a definition for that because we all have an idea what is this. In fact, there's a huge confusion actually what are digital twins. But let's stay here with the definition of the Industrial International Consortium, which is telling you that digital twins representation or digital representation enabling you to fulfill or sufficient enough to fulfill or meet requirements of a set of use cases. Meaning you have a physical space with your physical machine, physical asset connected to your digital twin. So you have the data and you create information out of it. But what people don't tell is that actually it's much more about that. It's about getting data from the data providers. It's about getting data from suppliers, operators, about data coming from servers or maintenance. And as a use case or data consumer, it's about trying to integrate into your digital twin, dealing with different formats, cross-domain representation, and have an idea what's going on in the life cycle. And there, actually, it's where the pain points start to be visible. So imagine you have a digital twins and you have to get information from stakeholders to players, customers, etc. So we get different formats, and imagine there are facilities that require about 20,000 documents to represent them. So it's a huge challenge to know where to find information that you need to build your digital twin. And then you find out that these data have different formats. They are not compatible with each other. Then it's about also scalability. So how you create one digital twin for one asset, but actually the reality you need to do it by millions. And if you want to do a lot, it's also about costs. It's about how you deal with the huge amount of data. It's about also how you do with the IT infrastructure behind it. And then it comes different standards, and now coming also several requirements from European Union. And in the end, actually, it's about the users that don't trust digital twins, sharing the data with your customers, with your stakeholders, because we don't know what happens with the data. It's about security, it's about privacy, sovereignty, and we need a solution for that. And one of the solutions for that is the SMSH shell, which is a standard bringing you a way on how to make digital twins more possible for your use cases. But before I deep dive into what is the SMSH shell, I would like to give you a short history of how it became so important in now our current situation. So at the very beginning, we had the Industry 4.0 topic, or mainly driven or come by the platform Industry 4.0 from the German government, which started the idea, okay, we have the Industry 4.0 related to the fourth industrial revolution. And then about 2015, the first ideas of the SMC shell became reality. Then we had some implementations from the industrial context, meaning the digital nameplate was introduced. And then in 2020, we created a spin-off out of the platform Industry 4.0, which was more focusing on implementing the SMC shell as a standard and enabling the industries to use them as an enabler for value. And 1 year later, we joined forces with the Eclipse Foundation, establishing the Eclipse Digital Twin Top Level project, where we want to make things easier for everyone. So we want to not drive the standards, but also make them feasible in a way that there are open source implementations for it. I will come back later to it. But first of all, I will come back, if you haven't wondered that, what is actually the SMC shell? Briefly speaking, the SMC shell is the implementation of the digital twin for Industry 4.0. Meaning, as you remember my motivation slide, it's about sharing data. It's about knowing that the digital twin is not about engineering or only manufacturing or operation. It's about the entire life cycle. It's about enabling representation with the standardized syntax, semantics, and enabling also further topics like control access, communication interface. Yeah. So it's about having a common basis for representing assets and able to share with your stakeholders. We have already some specifications already available. If you want, you can already go here into the QR code, let me know. I provided the link, but you see here already 4 specifications that are already published. So one part is the meta model. We have the application program interfaces. We have also the data specification, IC 61360. And we have also a part 5 calling the package file format, which is the ASX format file for the SMC shell. Work in progress and security, we are working this. It's not published yet, but we are also aware that this is very important. And our goal is, of course, not have only open standards that everyone can consume and use and read, but also make it as an international standard via the 63278. Remember this number. So I talked already about semantics, syntax, and this is where the SMC shell will play a huge role for standardization, because with the standardization of the SMC shell, we are talking actually about the submodels or the submodel templates. The submodels is a very important concept of the SMC shell, which provides specific insights of the asset that you want to represent. So you can create submodels for early phases, like technical data representation, or you can do something related to handover documentation from engineering to manufacturing. You create submodels for digital nameplate, or later on you can create submodels for operation. Why that is important? Because if you see here, for example, we have an engine, and we have here a value coming, it's a 2000, say 2000, right? For us, we can maybe have an idea what this is, but if the machine just read this number, it was okay. It could be like 2000 a year, it could be euros, it could be the steps, right? But in the end, it's about rotation speed. And this is why it's important that we also rely on further standards like Eclipse, that we say, okay, this value here has a semantic ID, which you can see here, right? And this is, for example, already specified, for example, at Eclipse. And you can already go to this classification and say, okay, this value coming out of here has a context, and this is about 2000, right? Maximum rotation speed, 1 minute rotation. That's it. So, and this is what you're going to use to represent digital twins via submodels at the SMC shell. So I don't want to go here deeper, but just to make it more clear, when I talk about SMC shell, it's about not only covering one specific phase, but it's about looking over all phases of the product life cycle. So you will see from an asset, you'll see several, or maybe one SMC shell that are created during the engineering phase, the planning, development, during the virtual commissioning, during the production, operation, etc. Yeah, and you might also have maybe overlying SMC shells that summarize or try to create relationships between the different data. But in the end, this thing here you see will help you to find the relevant information that constructs this digital twin in the middle and helps you to get information that you need to understand what's going on here and create value. So, and as I said previously, submodel templates is a very important construct of the SMSession shell. And what I brought here is just a very simple example. We already have, or the IDTA is already working on 80 submodel templates where you can already go to the website. This is the QR code if you're interested to look at it. And you can see a list of the several submodel templates that are already published, being developed, or in discussion. And it's very simple. We have also on this website not only the link to the download of the PDF file, but also to the GitHub repository where you can not only get the PDF file of the submodel template, but you can also get the ASX format file so that you can already consume this template for your use case. So why I'm telling you this? Because there are several challenges coming in front of us. And one of them is that, for example, the European Union would like to introduce a digital product passport. So now there is a huge discussion, how can we make it happen? And of course, it makes sense if you want to make things transparent, flexible, that you use established concepts and in particular standards to make it happen. And this is why we see here the SMSession shell as a perfect fit to provide you the implementation of the product passport. So here you can see, similarly, the digital product passport is also about covering whatever happens along the life cycle. And we believe that the SMSession shell is exactly a perfect fit for this use case. And we already demonstrated that. As you see here on this picture, we see Professor Dieter Wegner on the German Digital Summit last year. He showed a demonstrator driven by the ZVEI, where we have like a cabinet from different components, and we want to show how we can make the calculation of carbon footprint more interoperable. And of course, with the SMSession shell. So we use here actually a lot of open source components to make it happen. Yeah, that already are enabling the use of the SMSession shell. And to show, yeah, you can use the SMSession shell to make things more transparent. We show this to the Chancellor, German Chancellor, Herr Scholz, right? And he was pretty impressed by this. So what I want to tell here is that, yeah, we have ideas. They are already ongoing, and it's about the community to understand how we can create value out of it. If you have been to Hannover Fair this year, you can see already a lot of solutions based on the SMSession shell that are leveraging actually existing open source components to show how companies or how the industry are generating value out of the digital twins based on the SMSession shell. So here is just actually a motivation for you to understand that the momentum is just growing. We have over 46 demonstrators for the SMSession shell. But actually, what I want to tell here, most of the implementations here are based on the open source. So as IDTA, right, why open source? Actually, you're here open source community, and I don't need to tell you why open source is important. Indeed, I want to tell you why from IDTA perspective, it's important open source. Well, because when we talk about creating specification for a specific concept, right, you can do it in a long way, only by specifying documents, but you can also do it more agile by telling, okay, I create standardization, I create documents, I see if it makes sense by creating open source implementations, and the feedback out of it, I improve my documentation, I improve my specification. And in this way, we not only get faster results, but better results. And the other two pictures I took actually from Akatech. Sorry, it's in German. It's similar what Eclipse Foundation is telling the world anyways. It's about using open source to create value, right? And enable companies to focus more on how they can provide value to the industries. And here, another study from Bitkom, where I want to emphasize that in particular for new innovations like digital twins is actually pretty new technology. They're going to be expensive when they go to the market, right? So if you leverage open source, it's much easier for you as a company to create solutions based on the digital twins to convince the market because you can make your solution less expensive. So putting this all together, IDTA said, okay, we understand that open source is very important to enable digital twins based on the SMStation shell. That's why we as IDTA want to make it as simple as possible for the community to create or consume the SMStation shell based on open source implementation. Because, yeah, we want to establish the SMStation shell as a de facto standard via code. We want to create a vivid community on digital twins based on that. We want to create and provide the community with very good implementations for the SMStation shell. And in the end, we are here to learn from each other. We want to co-innovate together. We want to see for opportunities how we can solve real-world problems. So just to make things clear, maybe you are asking, so why we are here at the Eclipse Foundation? Because, well, as I said, IDTA is working on the specifications, but the whole open source implementation and development will take place or is taking place at the Eclipse Foundation. All right? And for that, we created what we call the Eclipse Digital Twin Top Level project, where we already have some projects that you see here. We have the package explorer that I'll go deeper later on. We have the ACE model for Java. We have the ACE web client. We have the basics. We have the Eclipse semantic modeling framework. We have the service lifecycle management. Yeah? And here my colleagues, members of BMC, Andreas Olszewski is our lead. Birgit Boss from Bosch is a member as well. We have Michael Plager from Eclipse Foundation, and of course myself. Right? And now I would like just to, as we are here at the Eclipse Foundation, give you say a deeper overview. So maybe some of you were yesterday on the community days. We already also provide some sessions on it, but I will just give you from a few of the projects here a little bit deeper dive on it. So, and this is actually why we start, okay, let's implement digital twin use cases based on the SMC shell and open source implementations. So the first tool that we have at the Eclipse Digital Twin Top Level project, right, is the Eclipse ACE Package Explorer. By the way, if you want, you can scan this QR code and this will drive you directly to the GitHub repository. So what this thing does, it looks complicated and it's a fair statement, but simply speaking, this enables you to open SMStation shells. As you can see here, you're already opening a company from company Festo. You have here submodels, for example, the digital nameplate that provides you further information, what is the manufacturer, serial number, etc., right? But here with this tool, of course, you can create your own digital twins or edit existing digital twins, for example, and this is actually one of the main use cases when you talk about the SMStation shell. You are going over the life cycle. For example, your operator get the machine from your supplier and say, okay, I get the submodels that I got from the supplier, but I need additional ones that relate to my use case. So you would add additional submodels, and you see that the same model keeps consistent across the life cycle phases. I will show later with a certain example that makes it more simple. Another tool that I would like to emphasize here is the Eclipse ACE model for Java, or shortly speaking, the AS4J. AS4J is a library enabling you or implementing the part one or the meta model specification of the SMStation shell, where open source solutions or proprietary solutions can use to create digital twin solutions based on the SMStation shell. I don't want to go deeper here, but I just want to shortly mention, okay, this is how the architecture looks like. It's about creating models, providing the data format serializations, right, that you can then share SMStation shell instances. We have a validator, a generator to update the models based on the specifications. And here also some transformation libraries that are on top, not part of the specifications, just for convenience. And an example using the S4J is the Eclipse Basics, maybe some of you know, which is a middleware focusing on Industry 4.0 use cases. And it brings more than you might even see here, but here it's just a summary of the components that Basics is bringing to you. So we have here server implementation of the API specification of the SMStation shell. You have a registry, you have a web UI, and of course you have SDK enable you to use the optimization shell to create or enable your use cases. And here we have also a data breach, which is the next slide, right? Because the optimization shell is one standard for the cross-phase, or for the phases across the life cycle, but there also is other standards that provide, so to say, implementation for digital twins. For example, OPC-Way, which is highly relevant for manufacturing operation, or MQTT models, right? And this data are also part of digital twin. They're also creating digital twins, but from another perspective, which then could be or should be, in some cases, brought into the optimization shell so that you ensure you have this continuity across the life cycle. Yeah, and here is just an example of an additional web-based UI that Vasic is bringing now, where, for example, you don't need to install the Package Explorer, but you can use your web browser to go into the server and look for your optimization shell instances or submodels and share with your stakeholders, for example. Right, so now I just brought you some examples of projects of the digital top-level projects. I'm not going to go through all the projects, otherwise I won't have enough time, but please feel free to have a look at the website, and please feel free also to reach out to the project leads so if you need more information, because we have also other relevant projects like the semantic modeling framework, the lifecycle management projects. So they also provide different ideas on how to implement digital twins. But here I want to provide you a very simple example how actually these different projects can be used together to ensure value within or across the life cycle, across the value chain. So now let's imagine we are a supplier and we manufacture this robot here, right? And nowadays, many of the operators or your customers say we don't need only the robot, but we want to have additional information about the robot so that we can use it and create, so to say, additional use cases based on data, right? So this is why the supplier say, okay, dear customer, we are not providing only the asset, but we see the optimization shell provide information about this specific asset. This optimization shell can be created via the means of the ASX Package Explorer, right? Or using the S4J library to create the SX file that then can be shared with the stakeholders. Now, getting out of the boundaries of the supplier or the manufacturer of this robot, let's imagine, okay, there is an operator. I'm deploying a new facility or new, so to say, shop floor nearby. For example, nearby here, Ludwigsburg, right? And I need a new robot for that. So he goes to his supplier and says, here, I buy the robot, but please provide me also the information via the optimization shell. Since the operator also supports the optimization shell, it's much easier for him to consume this data, right? And this plant operator, for example, he says, okay, I want to also have some monitoring use cases on top of the robot, where the optimization shell will be very helpful, right? And for that, the plant operator has an AES infrastructure that enables it to use and consume the data of the optimization shell. And for this instance, we can say, of course, BASIC will provide here some solutions for that. But of course, there will be also other open source projects that could be used here in this case, right? But the main point here that I want to convey is that there will be several open source implementations, but also proprietary ones. But the main thing is, as long as all of them support the optimization shell as a standard for digital twins, the whole use case is interoperable. It's much easier for the operator as well for the supplier to share data and create value out of it. And with this, I would like to close my session for today. The one main takeaway is that digital twins is an enabler for Industry 4.0 scenarios. And in particular, if you use standards like the optimization shell, because you want to create value by sharing the data, trusting your suppliers, trusting your customers, right? And by sharing the data, you can then enable the value out of it. And this is actually, as also a little bit of outlook. I mean, you might have heard about Catena-X. Catena-X is also already using the SMStation shell, and it's provided already great value for it. But now they're coming out of these new activities, for example, the Manufacturing-X, that will also leverage the SMStation shell as an enabler for interoperability in such data spaces, right? So have a look at it. If you haven't heard about the SMStation shell, now it's the time to have a look at it because it's going to be very relevant. So another topic, as already mentioned previously, is the digital product passport, and the SMStation shell is a solution for that, right? So imagine that in a few years, when this regulation must be applied by all industries, then SMStation shell can be very relevant for that. And last but not least, yes, there will be more tools and solutions for the SMStation shell, and most of them are enabled by open source. And this is why we're here at the Eclipse Foundation. This is why we're here with the community. We want to talk to you, co-innovate together, and make things happen. With this word, I would like to thank you very much. I also thank Frank Schnicke. Unfortunately, he was not able to do it today. He's unfortunately sick, right? So, but on behalf of the whole IDTA, but also Eclipse Foundation and the Eclipse Digital Twin Top Level project, thank you very much, and very happy to answer your questions and have nice discussions with you. Thank you. Are there any questions? Seems not the case. In this sense, I think next point in any case, I think get together, right? So then, yeah, I would say, if you have further questions, just feel free to reach out to me, or I'll be the whole week here. So yeah, I'm happy to have a chat about this with you. All right, thank you.